Hi, I'm Michelle Koppel. I'm an enrolled agent specializing in the Employee Retention Tax Credit for more than the last 2 years. I've had a lot of questions about the Recovery Startup business and how they qualify, so let's just get right to it. So, this is the IRS Bulletin 2021-49. The IRS bulletins are considered to be law, so you can rely on this. So I am on page 6, Recovery Startup Business. So Recovery Startup Business is a business that started after February the 15th, 2020, and their average gross receipts are less than $1 million. That's pretty much it. If you had employees during that time and you started after February 15th, 2020, you qualify. You don't need to qualify by partial suspension or by gross receipts. So that's the qualifier. The Recovery Startup Business, we think about this date, February the 15th of 2020. It's not really a hard and fast rule, and here's why. When we talk about somebody going into business, sometimes they just incorporate. Maybe you incorporated in 2019 and you did not have products or services for sale yet. You built out your store and then you got your products and you didn't start selling anything until after February the 15th, 2020. You could be a recovery startup business because when you are considered to be in business for the purposes of the IRS would be when you have services or products for sale. So I think you should be looking into that other option. The other question I get for the Recovery Startup Business is, how do I file for the on the 941X? So let's take a look at this. Here is the 941X. Everything is calculated the same way for Recovery Startup Business, except on line 31B. Check here if you're eligible for the Employee Retention Credit on the third or fourth quarter of 2021, solely because you are a recovery startup business. That's it, but you have to do the calculations in the same way that you would calculate otherwise for which wages are eligible. However, remember, as a recovery startup business, there is a limitation of $50,000 per quarter in refunds. Now, the other question that I got is, can I qualify, if I'm a recovery startup business, can I qualify for other quarters other than third and fourth quarter of 2021? And the answer is yes, you can. And that is also addressed in the bulletin 2021-49. Let's go back over there. Here we go. It's down on about page 33. You can look these up, IRS bulletins, and read this for yourself. And it addresses this issue exactly. Okay. The Treasury Department and the IRS have been asked how to calculate gross receipts reductions of employers that came into existence in the middle of a calendar quarter in 2020. So they have provided you with an answer of how to handle that. So yes, you can qualify for other quarters. So what do? Let's just review how you qualify if you are not a recovery startup business. So you qualify one of two ways. One is either by reduction in gross receipts, and you use 2019 as your base year. So you compare your gross receipts in 2019, first quarter 2019 to first quarter 2020, second quarter 2019 to second quarter 2020, third quarter 2019 to third quarter 2020, and so forth. You must have a 50% reduction in gross receipts in 2020 compared to 2019 by quarter in order to qualify by gross receipts reduction. And then in 2021, you are still using quarter by quarter 2019 as your base year. But now you'd only need to have a 20% reduction in gross receipts, and then you will qualify. Now, again, this only goes through third quarter of 2021. You can only get fourth quarter of 2021 as a recovery startup business. Most people are only getting through second quarter if they're going by partial suspension, because most of the laws regarding partial suspension ended at that time. So you can qualify as a recovery startup using gross receipts. Now, what I just showed you is that you have a sort of different quarter because obviously you weren't in business in 2019. So what do you use as your base quarter to determine if you had a gross receipts reduction? So in Bulletin 2021-49 on page 33, it goes into that. So if you started up during third quarter of 2020, that is your base quarter, and you use that and compare it to fourth quarter 2020. Did you have a reduction in gross receipts of 50%? And still you use third quarter 2020 if that was your first quarter of paying employees, and you compare that to first quarter 2021, second quarter 2021, you can use it for third quarter 2021. And if you had a 20% reduction in gross receipts in 2021 per quarter compared to that base quarter, the quarter when you started paying employees, then you will qualify by gross receipts reduction. You can also qualify as a recovery startup business by partial suspension. So you can pick and choose. I look at it and I say, if you can get more money as the recovery startup business, then we go that way. If we get more money as partial suspension or gross receipts reduction, then we go that way. So you have different options. Now, somebody asked me, as recovery startup business, they said, I paid employees, I paid them wages, but I didn't file a 941. And you must file a 941 in order to be eligible for the employee retention tax credit. Why is that? Contractor wages, that is 1099 wages, wages that you paid that you did not withhold payroll taxes from, those are not eligible. Those are not considered wages to an employee. Remember, this is the employee retention tax credit. You're being rewarded for retaining employees during COVID. So if you're paying what we call contractor wages and you did not withhold taxes, then you did not file a 941. The form that we use to file to get the refund is the 941X. So when there's an X on the end of a form, that means it's amended. It's amended form. You cannot amend a 941 with a 941X unless there was an original 941. So you must have a 941. So those wages, contractor wages, are not eligible. So now you can qualify in all of these ways as a recovery startup business through partial suspension, through gross receipts reduction, and as a recovery startup business. So let me know if you have any other questions. These are the main questions that are coming to me, is about the recovery startup business and how you qualify. I'm Michelle Koppel. I'm an enrolled agent specializing in the ERC for more than the last 2 years. Email me if you have any questions and I'll try to answer them for you. Thanks so much.